There's something about your face, can't stop looking your way. What do you do to me? You make it hard to breathe. Ooh. I'm tired of the people that talk about nothing, and I'm not wasting this moment. Even though I know that letting you go would be crazy. Thinking no.
So Phoebe and I both individually went to school for graphic design and were working in that industry when we met. We actually met through Instagram about 5.5 years ago. Phoebe had sent me an email. She had been following me and wanted to meet up to talk about starting a lettering meetup group here in San Diego. So we met for wine and cheese and talked about the idea of starting this club and hosting monthly events, which we did for about 6 months. And through doing that, we found that we worked really well together. We were both kind of in a rut at our full-time jobs and wanted to start doing some freelance projects together. So we actually got the opportunity to paint a mural as a freelance job, which we did together. And shortly thereafter, we both quit our jobs and started Pandr Design Co. full-time. Definitely motivate each other. It's nice having each other as saying each other so much, each other's hype girls. But yeah, we come into the office every day and can talk about what we've seen on Instagram or TikTok or what we're trying to tackle that day in the business, our goals. You know, we're very money driven, controversial for women in business, in the arts world as well, but we always have monetary goals we're trying to hit. So what do we need to be putting out today, tomorrow, this month to be hitting those goals, and how many mural gigs, how many logo gigs, etc. So we motivate each other, just keeping track of things, have a spreadsheet for everything, so that's really motivating. Yeah, well, we don't really own our office, but our office space has been pretty amazing having during this pandemic, especially. Our office, we had always dreamed of having an office and having a big team, and so we got this office a couple years ago, and it was actually a really difficult process because the landlord didn't believe that 2 women painting murals could afford to have an office and pay rent every month, so it was really a difficult process to get it. But we finally did get it and convinced this old person who didn't believe in us that we could pay the rent each month, and so it's now it's a big space for just Phoebe and I through this pandemic as we had to lay off our employees, but it's been amazing having this space. We've painted 7 murals in the office, as you can see behind us, through the pandemic. We also put in a gym, got a Peloton and a treadmill. So that was really amazing, just feeling like we had the funds to be able to do that. And I never thought we'd have such a cute office.
It's a nice place to retreat to, especially we both live in small apartments, so having somewhere else to go and just be creative and get shit done. So we love coming in here. We also have a really awesome shed, which I never thought I would care about a shed, but we have one in the driveway that also came with the space, and it's perfect for storing all of our paints. So that is amazing. We have shelves in there just to store everything. It's color coded, really organized, and makes our lives easier. And then this summer, again, as a quarantine project, we decided to paint it, and it's completely rainbow, and it serves as a wonderful backdrop for a lot of our social media posts, and we're constantly getting compliments on it. So it's the dream shed.
Well, that leads me to talk about my path to cannabis in general, which was as a patient. I was seeking some natural herbal remedies for some chronic pain that I was experiencing because I didn't want to take opioids, which is what I was prescribed. And I tried a lot of different herbs to feel better. And one of my favorites is cannabis. I found so many other benefits from it aside from the chronic pain management. And I just feel really blessed that it's really entered my life as it has and at this time. So, well, let me continue that. So I went from patient to activist because I just really couldn't believe that this was so vilified and it was helping so many people with minimal side effects. And it's such a lovely medicine that promotes all kinds of other well-being. And I started helping out with my local dispensary, local legislation in Long Beach, kind of also a vigilant Facebook activist. And then a friend of mine got me involved in some media. I did a news show on the world's first it's called the US Weed Channel, and it was the first streaming network for cannabis content. And I was on more of a serious show called the 420, where we talked about current events and what was going on in the world of cannabis. And I do feel so honored to witness this growing industry as it grows from a community to an industry, and really enjoying all of the people that I meet along the way. And through my dinner parties, which is the next phase of my activism, because I became an educator as well. You know, if you're the person that knows a lot about weed on your block, everybody's going to start asking you questions. And I want to share the knowledge. I love learning and I love sharing what I learn with others. And I think education doesn't have to be boring. We can do it in fun ways. We can do it in delicious ways through the vehicle of fine dining and enjoy fine flower along the way. Oh, well, I'm gonna have to say the plant, and I brought a prop. Here she is. Yes, I feel cannabis really helps me tap into my creativity and create these really lovely dining experiences, as well as unique ways to educate people. I mean, we all learn in different ways, so it's nice to heighten the senses with 10 milligrams of cannabis, which we microdose throughout the evening. And we also incorporate CBD and raw cannabis, which I'm a huge proponent of, that too few people know about raw cannabis and the beauty and the benefit of that. And it's not all about getting high. I also work with terpenes, which is like the hottest new cocktail ingredient. So every ingredient for me, every infusion is also an educational tool. I get to tell people about the raw side of cannabis or the lesser known cannabinoids through this delicious vehicle of a dinner party with all kinds of other learning activities to do while you're there. Yes, that would be my house. I purchased a home on 5 acres in Landers, California. I originally moved to Joshua Tree, and as much as I love Joshua Tree, I felt that it was getting a little bit more touristy than where I wanted to live. And I thought I went out to the boonies, but now we're getting quite touristy here too. But still, this desert, I live in the Mojave Desert. It is a source of my inspiration, and I've just felt drawn here. So I'm very proud of this home. You know, I liquidated my 401k and put everything into this, and it's a conscious choice to live in this urban environment coming from the city. It is harsher, but I'm down for the challenge. And I think that the funniest thing surrounding the acquisition of this house is A friend of mine, okay, so it was on an auction, and a friend of mine said, oh, you know, you want to get this house, you should bury a piece of your hair in the sand. And so I did. I came and I dug a little hole and I put a piece of hair in the sand. And I know it's kind of a witchy thing to do. I actually was not the winner of the first auction of this home, and it fell through escrow and it was up again, and I got it the second time. I don't know if my hair was the reason, but I like to think that I wanted it so much that it became mine. And I have an incredible view, and the night sky is so inspiring. I didn't grow up seeing the Milky Way when I looked up. So I love living in a dark sky zone and such an expansive space. And it's really a wonderful place for me to sit and be with my thoughts and be inspired and create these unique experiences for people. I really must give the desert credit for that.
I didn't realize that I would end up giving advice. I thought I'd only get orgasms, but it turned out differently. So I'm 84 and I have no surgery, and I have always loved sex. And I had, as a child, I used to masturbate. I used to climb. I'm not always going to use these words. I used to climb up poles and squeeze, and I was having physical reactions, sexual reactions, before I even knew about sex or before I was even hormonally sexual. So I thought everyone was that way. And it was only until I became a therapist that I realized that people have countless questions about sexuality, and I have countless answers. So I was a therapist, and the two issues that came up all the time were aging and sexuality. And because I'm, fun in a way, I don't approach therapy without bringing humor into it. So people felt more and more comfortable, because I could just say asshole, pussy. I just would say that, and once you warmed up the scene, people would open up. And I realized that if I were given this gift, and it is a gift, and I also knew that the idea of it going away would be horrible. So I said, if I feel this way, other people must too. And sure enough, young people, old people, most people are afraid that they will lose their sexuality, or they may not do it right, or they may be self-conscious, or they may not be beautiful enough, and blah, blah, blah. And people have to learn that when they truly connect to themselves and then connect oneself to another person, that's foreplay. Because it's a connection. So I use the word sex, and I use the word pussy, and I use the word orgasm, but what it really means to me is the most exquisite intimacy with another human being. Now, if it's sexual, then it's extra intimate. It's undressed intimacy, but it really opens up the spirit and the heart, and gives you a sense of who you really are. Because being naked with someone, naked in spirit and naked in body, there's so much that goes on, and if you're not really open, then you'll know you're closed. So it helps you become who you are, experience who you are, share who you are, and get orgasms from the same place. So I think that it is because, I've been having ongoing sex with young men. That's why I'm called a cougar. Let's see. 40, 50, 60, 70, almost 30 years. That's a record. It's a long playing record. I don't know how children were taught. I was a therapist and I did child therapy. And anytime there's anything that's brought up that has like hooks to it, that's scary, the way you approach it has to be different. Because you have to show that it's okay for you. So if it's okay for you, it's okay for them. It's a new way of hearing it. And a short story is I was doing sexual counseling on a couple. And they were having trouble because I'm a therapist. We were dealing about their trouble. And they were very serious. I was moving out. He's this, he's that. He's with his old girlfriend. Trouble. And then I said, guys, how often are you having sex? And they said, oh, I don't know, once a week. I said, no wonder you have trouble. Now that I said, I thought you liked me. Go back home and bring me better news. And it just that whole way of doing it made a real difference. And it makes me happy to bring forth the most beautiful gift is intimacy expressed sexually. Yeah, I really do. I mean, they make sex out to be a dirty word and all that bullshit, but it's like, my daughter, I was a holistic therapist. So she says to me, Mom, if you're interviewed and you start talking about organic food, holistic therapy, and that, and the immune system, nobody's going to listen to you. She said, Mom, talk about sex and everybody will listen to you. And that's what I do. I bring forth the beauty, the depth, the authenticity, the joy, the pleasure, the goodness of what that is. I open the range. And women experience that more than men. Then they criticize the man for not doing it. Don't criticize a man for being a man. He's going to be who he is. Don't try to make him into a sensitive guy. It ain't happening because he's gay. I created a mission for myself. I did this after I was divorced because when I was much younger, teenager and thereabouts, my mission, the reason I got up was to be a wife, a mother, and a teacher. So I opened a dancing school. So that really, with those things together, with all you have to do for all of them, that what made me get up and stay up and then go to sleep because it was exhausting. But anyway, when I got divorced and I didn't have sex anymore and I didn't have a family anymore, and then I really started to get much more involved, but in a narcissistic way, not in a open human way. And then I realized that, well, first of all, what happened was I wanted to send my kids to Ivy League school, so I became a shrink therapist. And when I did that, that's when people started to speak about things. And I empathized with their anguish. They had real anguish, serious depression, death wish. And a lot of that came from fear. And when they were able to discuss these things with me, and I would share certain things about my own life, I realized that I could help someone. I could guide them through pain. I could guide them through fear. So all of a sudden, everything that I had suffered from, and I did because I had clinical depression, that it would be for a reason. So what gets me up in the morning and keeps me up during the day is to relate to people, extend to them understanding and love and acceptance and admiration. Because those are the things everybody should feel for themselves. And somehow, people say it's not nice, I'll be conceited. Those are ridiculous things to say. If you learn to feel great about yourself, that greatness won't stay inside you. It will come out and inspire other people. And that's what keeps me up in the morning. It's a teapot. It's a beautiful teapot from England. is porcelain, and it's of the finest quality, and it's probably, let's see, it's the 80s now, 50s. It's over 35 years, so I think that's considered an antique. Why is it my favorite thing? The first one broke, my actual one broke. So I went on eBay, and it took a year to locate another one. And I paid $100 for it just because I wanted it, because of all the memories. Why the memories? I was a costume designer, and I designed costumes for Israeli dancing. And my first job as a costume designer, rather than dance teacher or dancer, my first job as a costume designer was for a Zionist organization, the Israeli Dance. So they gave me $100 to do the project. And I had this crisp $100 bill, and I had never, just gone out and spent $100 on, certainly not on a teapot. And I saw this called Ginori. It was Italian and it's very elegant, overpriced with beautiful things. And I went in, and with that first $100, I bought myself, and that was in those days. That was in the 60s. That's that beautiful teapot. So I have it on a shelf in my apartment. And I just remember it was the first really expensive thing. I mean, like really expensive. This store, you don't walk into this store like you're walking into Macy's. No, it's of that style, of that quality. And I got $100 for designing costume, and I went in and I spent it. That was good.